Hey, welcome to the Jamie and Chris Don't Be an Idiot show. I'm Jamie. That's Chris over there. And how's it going, Chris? I haven't seen you since last week.
I was just checking out your Waffle House mug.
Well,
the famous Waffle House.
The Waffle House. You got to love the Waffle House. You know, it's funny. I had a friend. When I was down on the Bourbon Trail, I picked this cup up because we had to go to the Waffle House because there's nothing up north here that has a Waffle House other than a couple ones I won't name. But yeah, the Waffle House. You know, one of my friends was telling me she lives in Florida, and the way they predict what a disaster, how bad a disaster is if the Waffle House is open or not.
So if the Waffle House is open, the evacuation routes are clear.
Yes.
They have an inverse relationship.
Yes, for sure. Well, you know, and it's like she says, she's like, if the Waffle House is open, we know it's not so bad. If the Waffle House is closed, we're in deep shit.
If the weather shits, you get no grits.
For sure. You know, it's funny. Another thing about the Waffle House, my wife and I have like kind of a running joke because one of our friends and his wife and his kids like to go to, if you're familiar with Michelin star restaurants, and they're usually real pricey.
And where is that? I've never
They're
heard
all
of
over the place. They're all over the world. You know, it's like they can be a 5-time Michelin star or a 3-time Michelin star. And there's all sorts of them. Like I walked by one in Hong Kong one time and I was told to go to it, but I never did.
So this is a rating. It's not like the name of a chain or something.
No. It's definitely a rating. You know, and it's I never figured out how the relationship between a tire company and a food, like quality award would even tie into each other, but somehow they do. I guess.
What's the definition of Michelin?
Well, it's a tire.
Is it just a name?
It's just a name, yeah.
So there's a guy who created tires by the name of Michelin.
Well, I'm not sure it's a guy. It's a company.
A person.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not even sure it's a guy, but they do make good tires. I have them on a car. They seem to wear, except for the harder compound. But we can go into that later when maybe we'll talk about racing or something. Mm-hmm. The funny thing is, I have this buddy. He's over in like Italy, and I'm like texting him, and he's like, hey, I'm eating at some Michelin star restaurant my kids talked me into. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. And I was sitting at a Waffle House. And I'm like, well, I'm at a Michigan star restaurant. And he's like, what's a Michigan star restaurant? I go, well, not as high up as a Michelin star, but, of course, fine food, fine greasy burgers. That's what I consider a Michigan star restaurant.
So that's like the higher stars, the better the restaurant.
The higher the stars, the higher
greasier the restaurant.
The awards. There's no award for Michigan star, being that it's just made up by my wife and I. But that would be like a greasy spoon, right?
Greasy spoon.
Where I'm from, Triple X. In Lafayette, Indiana. Now that's a greasy spoon. That would be a Michigan star. Absolute. I don't want to say dog crap food, but it's not. It's just greasy. It works on your stomach.
It's good hangover food.
Oh, yeah, you're not kidding. Hangover, yeah. Right. But, yeah, so that's kind of like my 2 cents on the Michelin star, right? I don't go to Michelin stars. I go to Michigan stars.
Not Waffle houses have variations.
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
No, they don't have any variations, just in my own mind, but there's a lot of things like that.
Still the best place to go at 2 a.m., I hear. So if you're down south of Indiana.
The stories I can tell you from being at a Waffle House past 12. There's definitely a different type of crowd there. A lot of missing teeth. I'm pretty sure that's where they defined the toothbrush and not the teeth brush. But and nothing against them. They're all great people, and they all make up our fine United States of America. But you definitely get the drunk crowd or whatever in there, stuffing their faces with greasy food. You know what? But you gotta love them. A Michigan star restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so I saw this guy on TV the other day. He was, I think he was a member of the Trump administration. And they were starting to talk about how Social Security can become insolvent by 2032. we've been hearing about this forever. I remember in the 80s when Ronald Reagan reworked some of the Social Security, increased he in Congress increased the retirement age, the optional retirement age that said if you retire at a later date, you get a bigger check every month. So it was a big incentive to work longer, stay in the workforce. And supposedly that really added to the solvency of Social Security. It really made it last a lot longer.
Right.
And so now we're faced with, this is 7 years away. They're talking about being insolvent, and
7 years.
7 years. So this
7
is right
years.
around the corner.
Well, wait a minute. I've been putting into this thing all my life, right?
Right.
So now you're telling me I'm not going to get any money, or what?
And so that's kind of the interesting thing. A lot of people think, of the Social Security as a way of life, and it really has become, obviously, because there are a lot of people who retire at 62, 65 years old, and then they live to like 90 years old. And so, but when it first started in 1935, it was passed in 1935.
Oh, just about as old as I am then.
There you go. And then it became, it was in operation by 1937. But at that time, the average man was living until about 58 years old. Average woman was living till about 62 years old.
So 2 years older than me.
So
they're dying like flies.
Dying. And that was a 65-year-old retirement age. So they kind of built this thing in a way that anticipated most people were going to be dying before they even get to it. So they're going to be contributing to it, but they're going to be passing away.
Right,
they're not
right.
Going to be
so no one's
for
getting the
decades.
money anyways. It's going to the general pot.
Right. And then there was the philosophy that, well, the country keeps on expanding, and so there's always going to be more people adding to it, paying into the system to keep it solvent. Well, obviously, decades later, we have the baby boomers all retiring, not enough people coming back into the workforce. So we don't have as many people pouring into the system,
contributing to the whole thing.
Right.
It's funny because like talking to, older folks than me, of course, I feel like I'm old now, but, they're always like, you're not taking my Social Security. You're not taking it. And I'm like, well, no, it's already been spent. I'm sorry, but and it's a confusing thing for all because it's like, I feel like we've been contributing this thing all of our lives. And it's like, and it's funny, I was looking at my kid's check the other day and I was looking at how much he's contributed to Social Security. And I'm like, wow, that's overdoing what you're contributing to the regular federal and state income tax. So, it's crazy, but.
Right. Because the initial tax rate, so they've adjusted the tax rates for the contributions over the years too. So when it first started, began operation in 1937, the contribution was 2%. It was 1% from the employee, 1% from the employer. So that was just 2%. And then over the years, started in 1950, then all of a sudden it was 3%. And then by 1971, it was 4.6 or 9.2%.
9.2%?
And now we're floating at around 12.4, 13% or so. So because it's hard to hard to exactly know.
Altogether contributions
Right.
from employer and from the
from the employee and the employer.
Right.
But if you're self-employed, everyone who's self-employed knows that you pay the full price. And so all of a sudden, I think the numbers 12.4% is Social Security now. But really, you're self-employed, I'm self-employed. What we see is it's like around 15%, 15 whatever and change. But that's because all of a sudden you're like paying for Medicare and they threw that in there too.
Right.
And so all of a sudden, you start with this one program. Oh, it's only going to cost you 1% out of your paycheck every week, and you're going to have the security at the end, which great concept and idea.
Sounds like a great idea to me.
And there will always be more people to contribute to it. Which obviously, I've seen some politicians try to fake outrage by when people call it a Ponzi scheme. But what else do you call it? I mean, it's that's the definition of a Ponzi scheme,
Right.
where you say, okay, you put this much in, we'll give you this much out.
Right.
And there's
right.
always going to be more people contributing in, so we can keep on with the outflows without any hiccups.
So, I mean, the whole thing on this is we're just kicking the can down the road, or, now what are we going to borrow from to get us to the point where it's not insolvent, in the near future, And I mean, we're talking near future. We're talking like, hey, it's minutes away in the whole realm of things.
Right, and part of it, we've always heard people talk about the Social Security Trust Fund, but our federal debt, so we have this $37 trillion national debt that is owned by China and Japan and the UK and also the Social Security Trust Fund is one of the creditors to the United States. So, this lockbox
Wonderful.
that
So
they've
we
used
owe
in the
money to
past,
our own
right?
selves that we've taken from, and maybe we haven't taken it. We've just distributed more than what we can.
So, yeah, I mean, that's, it's a big convoluted mess in a lot of ways. So we have to, we're going to have some tough decisions. And so, I don't know. I mean, personally, I don't think that I wouldn't want to retire at 65. I mean, some of the healthiest people I see are the people who are still working. I know people who are 80, even 85, 87 years old.
Yeah.
They work.
I mean, how many people that they retire and they drop dead like in 15 minutes afterwards?
Right, because you got to keep your mind active. You keep your body active. Otherwise, if you sit around watching the news and getting irritated by the news and being sedentary, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is. It's definitely keeping yourself busy for sure. I mean, well, and we've already extended the age from what you said, 58 for male, 62 for women. I wonder what is the life expectancy of a male in the United States now and a female?
Right. It's got to be at least 80.
I'm thinking 70,
I
72, 74.
COVID brought it down a couple years.
Right.
But yeah, in general, it's obviously a lot higher than what it was. Actually, I'm just seeing this number. As of September 16th this year, just last month, the portion of the U.S. national debt owed to the Social Security Trust Fund is approximately $2.8 trillion.
Oh,
So-
I'll just write them a check.
So it's less than 10% of the overall national debt, but
Right.
it's
They just can't cash
$2.8
it till
trillion.
I'm dead. But
I mean, Congress has a hard time pulling back $100 million. This is $2.8
yeah,
trillion.
it's amazing. It seems like, we keep throwing money at everything, and we never look at what's not working, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I mean, this national. I mean, we could go into national debt all day, right? But being that we owe ourselves this much money and people are living longer, I mean, it's obviously a system that doesn't work. So how do we fix it?
Right. Yeah, and so I think that there's always been the idea that, well, we can grow ourselves out of the way, out of debt, which isn't happening. Actually, I think in like around 2019, 2020, it seemed like the economy was so hot. I think at that time that this was just before COVID, everything was humming along so well. I remember thinking, man, I don't know how long this can last. I mean, everyone's working so fast and so hard, but everyone's loving it. I mean, it was a great economy back then. And then you see that the receipts coming into the Treasury were very good at that time. And then all of a sudden COVID hits and
Right.
busts everything apart. It takes everything out. So it's like, maybe it's possible to grow it out, but, at these types of interest rates, I think it's hard. I know this one person who's probably one of the biggest experts on interest rate products in the United States.
Uh-huh.
And he was convinced that interest rates wouldn't be going up because at that time, I don't know, maybe the debt was $30 trillion or something. But just seeing, when we had those very low interest rates, that meant that the U.S. was paying low interest rates on a lot of its debt. And
Right.
so when all of a sudden these interest rates go up, I remember after the first bumps went up, maybe putting them up to around 5 or 6%, all of a sudden you started saying, well, it's like the United States is paying an extra $108 billion per year just on the extra interest it's got to pay on this debt these days. And so, I mean, if you bring them down the interest rates and grow the economy, that's one possible thing. But there have been other concepts of, and I don't want to get into it, but there have been other theories about a mix between gold and crypto being able to bring our national debt down too. So, anyways.
Tax. Isn't that the answer to everything, Chris?
Right, exactly.
I feel like, whenever they say that, it's like, oh, no one's paying their fair share, Okay, great,
Right, and when you when you don't tax as much, that's when you get liquidity in the market. A lot of times you get better returns because you have much more activity. I mean, look at the housing market right now. No one wants to sell a house.
Yeah.
Because
2.3% right here.
Yeah, because they don't want to give it up.
Right.
And so it's the same way that it's a disincentive if you have high capital gains taxes to sell a stock, to sell a crypto, to sell a house. And so, anyways, yeah, that freezes it up, and that doesn't solve the problem, obviously, by having more taxes. So but we were talking about Ponzi schemes, and you had the misfortune of actually knowing a Ponzi schemer, didn't you?
Well, so, and that's kind of a long story. I mean, talking about Ponzi schemes and talking about sometimes you're like, how far am I from the national news, or how far am I from, something that would be on television, or how far, is my life out of that, right? What ends up, like when I was dating my wife, and this was I want to say this was almost 17 years ago, like 2008 through 2010 or whatever. There was a guy that I used to know in college, and he ended up running a Ponzi scheme on a bunch of aviators or people in that were flying. What is Delta? Delta's out of Georgia. So
and just to clarify, so you went to flight school with this guy? Right?
Yeah, I went to flight school at Purdue. There was a little airport outside town called Airds Airport, and this guy's good-looking guy. Always women swooming over him, and just a real smooth talker, right? Like any Ponzi scheme guy would be, right? And he was always kind of a little aloof, although I was kind of friends with him. We were in Purdue Pilots together and all this other stuff. And it ended up that, and the funny thing how I found out about this is this was right around the Bernie Madoff time. Talk about Mr. Ponzi scheme himself, right? And if you haven't watched that on, is it Netflix or whatever, that whole saga went down.
A lot of those guys went down at the same time because everything was just crashing.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually remember I was down in Florida in the town where Bernie Madoff had his Florida house at the time when all this stuff was going down. It was December of 2008. And I remember reading the local newspaper talking about, because people down there would line up to make investments. They were like, wow, this guy's amazing. And he was the former chair of NASDAQ, so he had total street cred.
Yeah.
So,
well, the great thing about that is how many times did they call him and go, hey, Bernie, are you doing this? And he'd go, no. And they go, not a problem. Keep doing it. Keep screwing people,
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, talk about a government oversight and a complete lapse thereof,
Right.
And
exactly.
it's almost comical. And we're talking about, obviously we're talking about this Ponzi scheme. Well, slightly after that, and you guys may remember this in the news, and it ended up, one day I came home from work and my bedroom's on the first floor. So I walk into the bedroom, and I'm talking to my girlfriend, who's now my wife now. And I'm talking to her, and I turn on the TV, and the first thing on is American Greed, right? You ever watch that show? I think it's on MSNBC.
Yeah, CNBC, I think, plays it.
Yeah. Oh, I think, you're right. CNBC or whatever, yeah. And it's like I'm sitting there, and I'm watching this, and I'm seeing this guy on the television, and I'm like, wow, I think I know that guy. And I'm talking to Kara, my wife, and she's like, you don't know who that is. And I'm like, and then they're talking about, him being a pilot and him crashing this plane and him, screwing these people out of all this money down in Georgia and then going into Indianapolis and doing it there too. And I'm like, I'm telling you, Kara, I think I know this guy. And they're like, and then all of a sudden they go, started his, aviation career at Purdue University. And I went, oh my God. I'm like, that's Marcus. And as soon as I get out the name, Marcus, and it goes, Marcus Schranker, and I say it at the exact same time. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I knew this idiot. So it ends up that, he ended up taking, and if you saw this story, he took the plane from
But he was working the Indianapolis area.
Yeah, he was working the Indianapolis area, screwing people out of it, and basically, paying one thing to pay another, and falsifying records and all that stuff. And they were catching up to him. After he did it in Georgia, moved up to Indianapolis, they were catching up to him. And all of a sudden, I guess after his stepfather passed away, he decided he was going to fake his own death, is what I read. And so he took a very nice plane. I think it was a Meridian. Lit it up, started flying it. Well, first of all, he went and stored a motorcycle down in Alabama with side bags and everything else to fake his own death. And I'm guessing he hid some money somewhere. Don't know that for a fact. Don't completely quote me on it. And I'll probably get some people saying, oh, you don't know the story, but whatever, So it ends up that he flies this airplane down to Alabama, and then he takes the plane to Alabama, and he decides he's going to call in a fake distress, and basically says, I'm bleeding profusely, a bird hit my windshield, and I'm going down. Well, what happened on the other side of this is he was hoping that the airplane would make it into the Gulf of America or Gulf of Mexico, whatever you guys decide to call it, and he would vanish, right? So they're scrambling the Coast Guard and all that stuff. He jumps out the back and leaves the door down on the airplane, obviously, because you can't turn around and close it. Ends up floating down to the ground, kind of around where he was at, hits some trees. I guess he didn't hit them hard enough to knock some sense into him. So he hits some trees. The plane ends up with the drag coefficient with the door down, burns the gas off before it gets to the Gulf of Mexico, drops in, into a forest. Thank God it didn't hit someone in a house or something like that.
And this was in Indiana or Florida or what?
This was in Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah. So and actually somehow he got to Florida because I think that's where the end arrest was made, right? So he ended up running, and by the way, his face was starting to be put all over the news because they found the crash scene. They found there was no body at the crash scene. And then they decided they were going to, look around for him. And then people started calling in that they had seen him at a gas station. They had seen him at a KOA campground.
He was staying at like a campground, right?
Yeah, KOA campground. And it ended up, he slashed his wrists. He was incoherent. And they finally caught up with him, and then that's when they started slaughtering him with charges, which I think he only paid like 4 years of that entire 10-year sentence.
Yeah, because I think you were telling me that it was like a 4-year sentence and then another 10 years consecutively.
Right.
Not concurrently.
Fed.
And then he's out after 4 years anyway.
Right. And it's like, at what point does anybody get restitution to this? And I guess Harley Davidson, which I didn't know they had a leasing company for airplanes.
Right.
Harley Davidson sued him for like 800 and something thousand on the airplane, and then there was like some smaller trumped up, charge or whatever. It's just what a Ponzi scheme. I mean, and these people seem to be all over the place. If you watch American Greed, like I tend to be consumed with it. There is some really crappy people out there, you know? Yeah. And now our government runs a Ponzi scheme on us, with Social Security. And it's like, but, what makes them any different from the Marcus Schrankers of the world, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
So so here's a different topic for you.
Okay, hit me.
I'm going to read this here. Merriam-Webster recently announced the 12th edition of its collegiate dictionary, the first full hard copy revision in 22 years. This update adds over 5,000 new words, 1,000 new phrases, and idioms, and more than 20,000 additional usage examples.
Thank God for Webster.
This reflects evolving language from technology, culture, food, and everyday life. The edition is set to be released on November 18th, 2025. So anyways.
Well, the funny thing about this, right? Isn't there something called the Urban Dictionary?
The Urban Dictionary, which is very entertaining. If you ever
It
look up
is.
your hometown, you can see what some people are talking about. It's usually pretty entertaining. And,
The only way I found the Urban Dictionary is because I have this buddy, and we were driving around in, I don't know, an SUV or something. And he's like, we look like a douche canoe. And I'm like, what the hell is a douche canoe? And he goes, you got to look it up in the Urban Dictionary. And I'm like, the Urban Dictionary? I'm like, what the hell is that? And he goes, a douche canoe is a bunch of teenagers driving around in their mother's SUV and causing trouble. So I guess, that's how I found out about the douche canoe.
So I don't think douche canoe meets the Merriam-Webster guidelines for.
I don't see why not. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to buy a copy of that, and I'm going to look it up. And douche canoe, if it's not in there, Merriam, get your act together.
So they have released some, given like teasers on some of the words. They're not listing all 5,000 words that they're adding, but here's some of them. You tell me if you've ever heard of these. Adulting, the act or practice of attending to the ordinary tasks required of a responsible adult.
Yeah, I think I do that every day.
Like cleaning the house, mowing the lawn, I guess,
Yeah.
things like that. This one I'm sure you've heard of, beast mode. Everyone goes
That's
into
me.
beast mode, right?
Yeah, I'm in beast mode right now.
Kids use that all the time when they're gaming, it seems like. Here's one that
Love that.
Here's a sad note on our culture. This is cancel culture.
Oh, wonderful.
Practice of or tendency of engaging in mass canceling.
Right.
Cold brew. I never heard of this one.
Cold brew? That's coffee.
Yeah, a type
I love
of coffee
coffee.
made by steeping coarsely ground coffee beans in cold water for an extended period. And here's one that most middle-aged guys can relate to: the dad bod.
Oh,
Yeah,
I am sporting the dad bod today just for you folks.
that's a pretty common term, it seems
Yeah,
like these days.
yeah.
A physique regarded as typical of an average father, especially one that is slightly overweight and not extremely muscular.
Hey, watch
So-
it.
You know what? It's funny. They should add to it, like, the cause of this is because the dad sits at the dinner table with his kids, and his kids get all this food, and then they would just want to throw it away, and then the dad says, "Give me that. I'm going to eat it. I'm not going to let that go to waste." That's just it's like the dads are victims of their children in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
in that
that's kind of
respect.
BS if you ask me. The kids are causing this problem. I want to have them banned from society. You can lock them all up and and do what you want with them.
Like, especially like you ever go to the
I'm
restaurant?
kidding, by the way. I'm kidding. I don't want to get the bad press on this.
So you ever go to the restaurant with your kids when they're younger, and they're like, they like to pick the most expensive items on the menu.
Wait, you know
And
what?
they're like,
That's a great
I'm
story.
I'm not hungry.
Yeah. Oh, that is a great story. One, my daughter does that all the time. Like, we used to go to restaurants and she'd be like, I'm hungry. And then it would come to the plate and she'd eat 2 bites and I'd be like, I just paid $40 for that steak and here you're just eating 1 bite. And I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah. And then, the other one is like when your kids are like, and I used to have this neighbor, just to kind of go off on this tangent for a second. I used to have this neighbor, and she used to let her kids that were like 7 years old order off the adult menu. And it was like, why would you do that when the children's menu and they're barely eating it? I don't know. You
Right.
know? Yeah, it gets me. I
that
don't
doesn't make
understand
sense.
this
Unless
stuff.
you're splitting a meal, but still, it's a kid's meal. It's a kid's and senior meal usually.
Right.
Because
Right.
I guess if it's just a kid's meal, it's maybe mini hot dogs or something. But
Right.
But it's smaller portions, and
Right.
it's there for a reason. Yeah. So yeah, I know it's. I mean, I don't know why anyone would want to.
It's
do
almost
that.
ridiculous. I mean,
Yeah.
well, one, it's funny. to go on another tangent, is I have a friend that his dad only used to eat hamburgers, right? And they'd go to a restaurant, and he was old, and they'd go to some nice restaurants, and they were like, he wanted to order off the kids menu because it was the only place that had the hamburger, right? They had steaks, lobster, all that good stuff. And they're like, well, we're going to have to charge you more because he's not a kid. Well, he's 84 years old. Let him eat off the damn kids menu.
Yeah, no kidding, right? He's only going to eat like 3 peas and a couple slices of a carrot.
Right. Yeah, give the guy a break, right?
So here
he's probably not getting his Social Security, right?
That could be, right?
Yeah, because, we're going to be insolvent.
So this next word is a good one, especially if you have a douche canoe in front of you. And that's the dash cam. Whichever knows what a dash cam is, a video camera mounted on the dashboard of a vehicle and continuously recording. That's interesting. That makes the dictionary.
Yeah, the dash cam. Yeah. Hey, it's very handy. I mean, I've seen a lot. I watch a lot of YouTube, and I've seen a lot of the videos of those dash cams.
Did you ever use a dash cam to record a douche canoe?
That's a good question. I might have used it to record a couple douche canoes in
Maybe
my
a few
time.
Douches.
Yeah, or quite a few douches, right? Yeah.
In general. So what about this one? I'd never heard of this one, but this one makes a lot of sense when you hear it. Have you ever heard of doom scrolling?
No.
Doom scrolling. DOOM.
What is doom scrolling?
To spend excessive time online scrolling through news or other content that makes one feel sad, anxious, angry. So this is like
that's 90% of the population.
Going in, especially, back in the news day, not back in the news days, but news people kind of had this saying, this like informal saying, if it bleeds, it leads. But, that's what the internet's a lot about too these days. People are like,
well, and then you don't know what's
love to like dig
the
into
truth
the car
and
crash.
what's fake and what's real, right? And then it's like I clicked on something today and it gave me it was something about Adam Sandler singing about Charlie Kirk, right? And I'm like, I'm curious, so I click on it and it's like ad after ad after ad, and I'm like, okay, forget it.
Just clickbait?
Yeah, it was just clickbait. It's like you don't know what's real, and a lot of these people are being played rope-a-dope with, right? Because you pay attention to both sides of this thing, and you're like, which do I believe? What side is it? But yeah, that's another story in itself. I'm being gaslighted.
Gaslighted.
Yeah, I'm being gaslighted. Yeah, well, no, I was on there, so I was like.
But I bet clickbait's in there. I mean, it's not listed in the teaser words that they released, but I bet. They're not, like I said, they didn't release all 5,000 words. They're saying,
right,
you got to wait till,
right.
You have to wait until November 12th.
Oh,
for the,
I don't have all 5,000. I'm gonna read all 5,000.
But then I wonder if they say, well, just zip through the dictionary, or if they're actually going to list them all, or they say, well, just go find them.
Wow. Yeah, that's kind of like the old encyclopedias, right? It's like,
right.
Well, what's new here? It's like they didn't put an index to say this is what's new from the last edition, right?
Right. You have to wonder. So they're printing these dictionaries. I always thought it was cool. You go to the library, like the university library, probably the public libraries too, and you find these unabridged dictionaries that were just these monster books. But I can't imagine those selling that much anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we should buy one.
Right?
We should buy one. Bring it on the phone, the podcast. Leave it on the table and
so
look stuff up once a day. Look stuff up.
And I have gone to m-w.com. I've been doing that for probably 25 years, that's the Merriam-Webster website.
Oh, okay. So you have used it.
Yeah, because there are a number of them that are thesauruses, rhyming dictionaries, and there are all these different sites that you just, right now you just ask AI, right? What does this mean? Tell me what dumb phone means.
That's got to be something like a flip phone or something.
So it says a cell phone that does not include advanced software features such as email or internet browser. So yeah, like a flip phone.
Well, it's funny, which I said when I retired or semi-retired. I'm not really retired, but I was like, I'm gonna throw my iPhone away because I was tired of looking at the what do we call it?
The doom. You were tired
Doomsday.
Of doom
scrolling, and I was just going to use a flip phone. Well, that never happened. I still have an Apple.
Right, those flip phones are nice, but you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, especially I mean, you'd want to get rid of your cell phone for a couple things. One, so people can't reach you, right?
Right.
Used to
Or
be
can't
nice-
track you.
Used to be nice when you could like even when you're growing up, you just leave
Yeah.
the house. I'll be back around 5 or 8 or whatever. Sometimes your parents
Until mom and dad
call your
rang that
friend's
bell,
house. Right,
for
exactly.
dinner.
Things were okay. But now it's like those smartphones. It's hard to think about.
It's hard to get
living
away
without
from them. You know what?
you know?
4 hours. Average person spends 4 hours a day scrolling their smartphone.
Yeah.
My wife is at the top of that. I think she's 8 to 10. So, yeah, she'll probably kill me for saying that, but
You have to wonder. I've heard people speculate. They're like, a couple decades down the road, everyone's going to have neck problems because they're just like, I mean, they're walking
Right.
down the street dealing with this, and their neck is always like in this downward position.
well, the funny thing about that, and I used to go to China a bunch and things like that, and that society is the worst at Hong Kong and China, like Shenzhen area. That society is the worst about walking along the street with their heads down, looking at their phones, and you're like, get out of my way, get out of my way. And I'm like I like to scroll like the rest of them, right? I'm probably a 4-hour person, maybe 3 hours. I'll give myself 1 hour less, right?
It's interesting because it's China. So
Yeah.
they have the most restricted content too, probably.
Right.
It's like the government's not letting, they don't even allow TikTok, right?
I used to hate getting off the train, and there'd be like 100 people getting on the train, and they're all looking down, and they're not looking at you, and they're running into you, and you're like, get out of my way, But
Right.
that's all for another conversation. But
That's and so many people, right? I mean,
Right,
you're in
right.
a very densely populated area.
oh yeah, for sure. You know what? I have to say though, the Chinese and the Hong Kong people are very organized the way they get into the train. There's like
Very
two-
polite.
Yeah, they're polite, but they don't really say anything. But there's 2 lanes in, 2 lanes out, right? And for the most part, in like Hong Kong, they follow the rules. It's like they're out on those 2 lanes going out, and in on those 4 lanes going in, and they're all in order. No one's cutting in front of. Like an American, they'd be like throwing elbows and trying to get on the train, giving people bloody noses or stabbing them in the neck. Let's.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, it's a difference in cultures.
Yeah, right.
I know I've noticed that differently. The differences when you board a plane in different countries.
Right.
It's like America. Depending on the airlines, it can vary, but everyone in general is, it's pretty well organized. And when you get off the plane, most people, some idiots, don't know how to get off the plane. They just jump in the aisle and run up instead of waiting for the rows to clear out properly.
Don't
right?
even get me started on that one. I don't understand why you're 6 seats behind me and somehow, and by the way, if they're late for a flight, I am happy to let them by, right? But when they're just doing it to be jackasses, then it's like one of those things like, why can't you just wait in line like everyone else?
And I wonder if they just don't know the social etiquette. Some of these people may not be used to flying. And they may just think, it's just like, whatever, getting off the
Free
bus,
for
you just
all.
jump on and
Free for
squeeze
all.
your way out, right?
Get out of my way.
I remember being in Italy, though, and like boarding a plane, and like the first time I really noticed this, and it's like, all of a sudden it was like, okay, everyone can like start getting on the plane, and it's just like a mob scene. It's like it's like a big
Converge,
cluster
funnel.
where it just everything kind of locks up because there's no line, there's no order. It's just cram your way in,
That's Italians for you.
Right? Yeah.
I've got a great Italian airplane story. I'll tell you guys at another time. But yeah.
That's almost like what that old joke that they would say about the ideal Europe versus the not ideal Europe. Where the ideal Europe is where the cops are English, and the cooks are French, and the engineers are German. And the worst case scenario for Europe is where the English are the cooks, and the French are the engineers, and the Germans are the cops.
Oh boy, yeah.
Okay, so moving on our list here.
Yeah, list.
So we got fanfic, fan fiction. Also, an example of fan fiction, a story written by a fan. So it's just fiction about, I don't know, fiction that someone would write about someone they like, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what the
Kind of
hell, you know?
Farm to table. You hear that term
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah.
Farm to table. That's
I
a
like
big
the
one.
farm to table, you know?
You
I've been
know,
trying to
it's-
do that on my way home. I
Right?
stopped by the local vegetable stand, you know, try to pick stuff up.
Farmers market. And,
Yeah.
pick up that stuff. So that's
Right.
kind of fun. Usually, I mean, especially intended, you know, because some farmer stands, they bring their stuff in from other states or whatever. But, you know, especially if it's a locally grown thing and you're taking it right to your dinner table is a great thing. So
Right.
It's fun. It's usually healthier.
I just ordered a half a cow, by the way.
A half a cow.
Yeah. So instead of having a cow, I have a half a cow.
Half a cow.
Yeah.
So where do you store this? You have like a big freezer?
Well, the funny thing is, I ended up buying a big freezer because I thought I had ordered something online from Omaha Steaks, right? And I'm like, look, honey, we're getting chicken, we're getting steak, we're getting this. And I kept ordering. I ordered it once. I was like, somehow it didn't go through. And it ended up, I'm like, you know, and it looked so real, right? This guy's like laying this stuff out. I don't know how many of you guys have been scammed online or not, but he's laying it all out and, you know, like, you know what? I'm giving you this, I'm giving you that. And
So these are individual pieces. You don't have like just like a half of a cow with the ribs. And
no.
Okay.
These are all like I'm thinking they're going to be vacuum
packed.
formed or
Okay.
vacuum
Sealed.
packed and sealed. But the thing is, it's like I thought I was ordering this, so I'm like, honey, we got to go out and get a freezer. So it ends up we go out and we buy a freezer, and you know this thing doesn't come. So I call Omaha Steaks. And they're like, well, no, there's a scam going around for this. And luckily enough, I have to say, kudos to Chase about blocking the purchase anyways. They already knew it was a scam.
Oh, so you didn't get a text from them saying...
No, it was
you need
really
to
strange.
approve
It
this?
never even went through the credit card.
Okay.
So, and then I watched the credit card for a while and nothing happened. So it
Wow.
ends up another buddy of mine was like, we're ordering a full cow. And I'm like,
Caveat
oh.
emptor.
Huh?
Caveat emptor.
Caveat?
Buyer beware.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then my buddy was like, we're ordering a full cow. And I'm like, oh, I want to order a half a cow. And he goes, we'll just split it with you. So I have the freezer. I'm like, I'm getting the cow. I'm getting the meat.
So it's a legitimate source that your person
Legitimate
has.
local farm to table,
okay.
right? You know? So now I think I'm just going to start going to these local, like, I got a couple meat places by me. I think that's a good idea. I mean, really, you're getting it as fresh as you can possibly get it, although it is frozen, I'm sorry to say. But
There's a farm that sells elk in our area, too.
really,
Yeah,
have you had
interesting
elk?
stuff.
I haven't had elk.
So there was a restaurant that we go to every once in a while. And my kid was, you know, they had elk burgers. And my kid tried it. He liked it. I think it's a lot like beef.
Yeah.
Maybe a little healthier or something. But and I said something to the waiter, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we get these locally." And he told me where to get them, and so
Really?
interesting stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like who would have
Yeah.
thought?
How
right?
is elk? Is it good?
Well, I
is it
haven't
like
tried
beef?
it.
Oh, you
Yeah,
haven't tried it.
so,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, so-
You're not a red meat guy.
Yeah, but we won't go there. So
Yeah.
So next term is gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
So everyone
Yeah,
knows
well,
gaslighting.
Yeah,
right?
well, we were just talking about that. you
Everyone
know?
who does doom scrolling is being gaslit.
Yeah, right. Well, in some way or another, right.
Right. The
Yeah.
ghost kitchen. Actually, so this is interesting.
This is interesting.
A commercial cooking facility used for the preparation of food consumed off the premises. So there are guys online that my kids have said, we got to order their food. And so you order their food online, and then you go to this other restaurant that you know what the restaurant is. And they also have this like side gig where they're making food for these online influencers. You know, they'll
Really?
like, yeah. And it's interesting. So they like work out deals with restaurants and all these different markets.
There's one of these downtown. You know,
So this particular one that we did, we ordered in the downtown of our area. That was the closest to my house. But then there were two more out in the suburbs too. So they had 3 locations for this one social influencer. And I think there are 3 different restaurants. But you know what? I think they're given the recipe. They say make it like this, then that's how they do it.
Really? So was it hot when it got to you guys, or did you have to heat it up?
Yeah, I think we actually for the one that we did, it had to be Uber eated or whatever. It had to be delivered. And but for the other ones, you could actually go and you could actually pick it up, and so it'd be it's like picking up to go. Or having your food delivered from a restaurant.
Sure,
so
right.
It's interesting. I mean, it's like I thought it was overpriced burgers, kind of, but
Overpriced
it's kind of
burgers,
fun.
right? I think most stuff is overpriced here in the United States now.
So anyways, that's a ghost kitchen,
right?
And but I don't know. If I had my chance, if I had my option again, I'd take a hard pass.
I was going to say I was going to take a hard pass on that too.
Take a hard pass. I'm just gonna make my own food.
Yeah.
So that's the next term,
which is in the dictionary, right?
A firm refusal or rejection. Obviously, I think most people know what that one is.
Right. Influencer. Yeah.
Obviously, we were just talking about
that. Yeah, the food influencer. It's funny how these all seem to tie together, you know?
So these food influencers, by the way, the influencer, he was like a gamer or something.
Yeah.
He was like a gamer who came up with like a food menu. And so, I'm sure that they work with some entrepreneurs. They're like, you know what? You've got 10 million people who watch you all the time. Let's make a menu for you, and these kids can be ordering your food, and you come up with your.
So the influencer may not even be here in the state. Is that what you're telling me?
Right.
Making this food?
Yeah, the influencer is not. Influencer can be wherever. They come up with a menu. I guess the recipe, the procedure for making certain foods.
I had no idea.
And then the kids, primarily the kids. I think I don't know. I mean, that's my experience. Are
these guys chefs?
They make up. No, they're just influencers.
I know. I just think this is funny.
I think they're working with.
They're on that Michigan Star.
From the food that I saw on the menu would be something that a couple college kids would come up with. Oh, let's make this monster burger. Let's make this.
Oh yeah.
Death burger.
36 layers of food. Right.
And they're like, okay, what's all going to be on? Okay, so we're going to make our menu. Then they have whoever contact restaurants and make a deal. Be like, okay, we'll promote this, and you get a cut, we get a cut, and things like that. They work.
You get a car, I get a car,
yeah,
you all get a car.
Everyone makes money except for mom and dad who are paying for the overpriced food.
Right. And this stuff was not all that great, huh?
Yeah, I don't remember it being all that great. I mean, nothing that you couldn't get at a local burger joint. So
yeah, right. I love a good burger.
Petrichor. I'm guessing I'm pronouncing it correctly. A petrichor.
Petrichor. Yeah.
Petrichor. Let's see. A distinctive earthly, usually pleasant odor that is associated with rainfall. Especially when following a warm, dry period. So that's like the ozone, right? Is that like maybe when you smell the rain?
Yeah, maybe.
That's
when you smell the petrichor is what you're trying to tell.
Petrichor, yeah. So
petrichor.
It's interesting how that one comes up. But then obviously here's another one. So most of these terms that they're giving us are the terms that are coming off of online and just with the young generation.
That's funny.
The photobomb,
which we all know what a photobomb is.
If it wouldn't have been 22 years since they last updated, it would have been in there a long time ago.
Right. So it's been. I guess I never caught that. 22 years before this whole thing went down.
Since they've done their updates. Yeah. So their current. I presume unabridged dictionary.
That is a long time.
That is
22
a long time.
years.
So we'll try to flip through
as long as I've been alive.
We've got some more fun ones here. Let's see. Side eye, a sidelong glance or gaze, especially when expressing scorn, suspicion, or disapproval.
Kind of what I'm doing right now, right?
Yeah, right. They mentioned suspicion. They don't have sus in here, but I have to assume that's sus. Yeah, that's like
suspect.
Yeah, do you ever hear that?
Yeah,
it's like that's pretty sus. That's a big
word, right? I'm trying to think. It's funny because I always go in and I start talking to my kids about this stuff, and I try to use lingo like this just to act like I'm cool, which I know I'm not. Right? And
that's sus.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, what sup?
Yeah,
sup.
Yeah, and some of the terms actually, some of the terms are kind of funny. I mean. like Riz. I saw Riz. Let's see.
Riz.
I'm falling off of it, but
What
Riz,
the hell is Riz?
Riz. Let me see if I can find that. Oh, Riz. Romantic appeal or charm.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's Riz.
That's like me.
Riz. You know, it's
Yeah, Riz.
So, some of the other ones, teraflop for computer guys like you and I. A unit of measure for calculating the speed of a computer equal to 1 trillion floating point operations per second.
I always
So
have a
it's
problem with how fast
That's some
things
fast
are.
stuff.
I don't get the whole like layout. You know, even being kind of a nerdy guy, I'm like, what's more, this or what's whenever they're talking about AI speed and capacitors and whatever, I'm like, I get glazed over.
And some of it, I mean, with quantum computing now, that's even, it's more like, it makes it even tougher to understand now.
Right.
Because you have qubits
Right.
instead of bits. Whereas a bit, bits and directions
I guess
to
I
a
gotta-
computer.
I got to see a hierarchy of this stuff, right? I got to go this, kilobytes, megabytes,
Okay.
gigabytes.
Yeah, it's usually just the next thousandth up,
Yeah, like I got to look at it and go, okay, now this is bigger than this is.
Touch grass to participate in normal activities in the real world. That's hilarious. In this virtual world,
It's
they
funny.
have a term. You're touching grass. I'm not going to be online tonight. I'm actually going to go out and kick a soccer ball.
It's so funny that this comes up in this because we're in an airplane hangar now, right? My next door neighbor, this lady, very nice lady, she always talks about touching grass, right?
Really?
And this is like her number one term, right?
So
Touch
you're
grass,
you're gonna
touch
be
grass.
outside.
Yeah, touch grass.
What an
And,
experience.
she's Canadian, so she's got a little bit of an accent, right? And she spends some of her time in Alaska.
Those people probably stay inside a lot to begin with, right?
Yeah,
That's
right.
So
Sure,
they're touching
sure.
snow.
Touch snow, right? Yeah.
So I bet you have some Nepo babies in your house.
Nepo.
A person who
baby.
gains success or opportunities through familial connections.
Nepo babies.
A Nepo baby. My dad's going to hook me up.
Yeah. Well, they think they're gonna get hooked up, but they got another thing coming. I know. I've seen a lot of companies that are Nepo baby run, and they're never really run well. I can tell you that. It always seems like the kids take over and they run it into the ground.
Unless you appreciate it, it's hard to make it happen.
Yeah, or unless you built it, and
That's
Yeah.
Here's a term that. Well, actually, here before that one, this one, goated, which you know what goat is, obviously.
Yeah, it's me.
You probably consider there you go.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, I'm a goat.
And so if
Yep.
you're goated, you're considered to be the
Oh.
greatest of all time. So,
Oh, well, then that's everyone else looking at me,
so
right?
yeah. So you've goated yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm self-dubbed goated, right? It's kind of like being Sir Knighted or whatever, like Sir Richard Branson,
So have your he didn't knight himself.
What's that?
Richard Branson, he didn't knight himself, did he?
No.
Okay.
Of course, the Queen did Richard. Richard's such a great guy.
So your kids ever use the term simp?
Simp.
Yeah.
Simp.
So
No.
simp is so my kids have used that term and to
Never
show
heard of
excessive devotion or longing to someone for something. That's like we used to call it whipped when we were kids. P-whipped, but now they call it simped. So,
I'll go home tonight. I'll go, you're simp.
all right.
Yeah.
Don't be a simp.
Yeah, don't be a simp. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
verb. I got to use it in a verb.
I gotta go with my girlfriend to do this. Oh, you're
'Cause I'm
such a
simp. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to say that to my kid tonight when he's like, hey, my girlfriend's coming over. I'm going, you're simp.
This is Luke. Lewk, a fashion look that is distinctive to the wearer and is noticeable and memorable to others. How about this? Adorkable.
I have no idea what that
Adorkable is kind of, you could probably put that one together.
socially awkward, quirky, and in
a way that's
that is
endearing.
endearing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's kind of me.
Right?
When I'm goated and I'm adorkable.
Butthurt? So this makes the Merriam-Webster dictionary. Upset or offended in a way that seems over the top or silly.
Oh, that's 90% of society.
Right,
Hey.
right, yeah. Yeah, let's see. Generative AI, that's an important term.
Generative AI.
Generative AI. So
It's not genitals AI,
No,
is it?
no, not genitals, generative. So
no,
I
my
think
kid,
that-
kid was talking to me about this the other
about
day.
AGI stuff?
Yeah, AGI or GAGI, right?
Yeah,
Right.
in this case, it's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence that is capable of generating new content. So that's on the horizon, and that's coming. You know,
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
AI machines.
Yeah. He
that
goes,
start thinking.
"Do you know what AGI or
It is AGI. Yeah.
AGI is?" And I'm like, "Of course I know what AGI is." And I'm like, "What's AGI?"
Yeah.
You know, like
Did
looking
you go
it
to
up.
m-w.com?
I did. I went to m-w.com and I learned myself.
You learned your.
Yeah, I learned myself. You know.
So in that mode, there's large language models, another term. And
Large.
language models.
Is there small language models?
That's what feeds all the AI stuff. That's the process.
I want to deal with the small language.
A language model that utilizes deep methods on extremely large data sets as a basis for predicting and constructing natural sounding text. That's where we say, okay, it's like if you have this phrase, 45% of the time, this word comes after that, and then it like builds these answers.
Sure.
Based on that stuff, and that's
builds the output.
That's the foundation of AI in a lot of ways.
Right,
so,
right. I get it, you know.
let's see.
But so there's no small language model.
There's no small language model. I think, that's just.
That's just my brain is thinking small.
Right. So the chatbot, we all know
Chatbot.
chatbots.
Yeah.
Based
You know.
on earlier searches.
Holy cow, chatbot. Let's talk about that for a second, right?
Okay, you got some good stories.
Based on the story is like some of these chatbots really suck.
Yeah, and these are like micro forms of AI.
Yeah,
because you build these agents, these AI agents, which are you kind of like program and say, okay, these are our products,
right.
These are the kinds of questions you try to get to.
It's funny because I own part of a company and they have a chat software which we used to utilize pretty heavily and I went on and I'm like, this thing sucks now. It used to drive it to a person. Now it's all these. It's like an AI, but it's not. I was corrected. It's menu driven, right? And the menu driven completely loses you through the process, and then it doesn't show that you're talking to a human when you're talking to a human. It's just it's clunky. It almost feels like you're talking to a Chinese company and they're trying to make it up. But these things,
or something.
yeah, these things can be great, if they're done right, and then they can be awful when they're done wrong, and they can lose people's attention.
Chatbots are evolving.
Yeah.
They'll
Okay.
get better, I guess.
Move on. Barada.
Mozzarella formed into a ball-shaped casing that contains curds and cream.
I love burrata.
Have you? I've never heard of that before.
Oh, it's awesome. It's
Sounds
great.
pretty tasty.
It's great on tomatoes from your farm to table.
Really?
Yeah, it's good to go to the farm to table and then pick up some burrata and then put that on.
Like
put a
margarita pizza or something.
Basil, is it basil? Basil leaf on it, and then cover that thing with what is that? Vinegar. Olive oil and what is it? Balsamic.
Okay.
And this is so good.
Really?
So good. Yeah.
Sounds very good.
It is. It's awesome. But burrata is better than using regular mozzarella.
Okay.
In my perspective,
It's got the cream and stuff.
Oh, it is so damn tasty. Yeah. Okay.
So let's see, freestyle and improvised performance, especially of a rap.
It's kind of like us right now,
Yeah.
freestyling it. Woo!
But we're not rapping.
Yeah.
Unless you do a beatbox, then maybe I'll try that.
No thanks.
Okay.
I think I'm the wrong person for that.
So let's see, jam band. I've been in those before.
Jam band.
A
Yep.
band whose performances are distinguished by frequent and often lengthy jazz-like improvisations. Well, I didn't do the jazz kind of stuff. But.
Sure.
So here's some. We should probably get wrapping up on this, but I just wanted to.
These are
a couple more.
funny.
Mega is one of the new terms, which
Mega.
is Donald Trump's contribution to Merriam-Webster, "Make America Great Again."
Oh, it's MAGA, right?
MAGA.
Oh, MAGA.
MAGA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Tradwife.
Trad.
A mix of the words traditional
Oh.
and wife, referring to a married woman, especially one who posts on social media, who stays at home cooking, cleaning, etc.
So does she make
and has
money on
children
social
that she
media?
takes care of. What's that?
Is this a profitable thing, this trad wife?
Sounds like a stay-at-home mom who
Yeah.
Who just goes on social media.
Maybe I should talk to my wife about this if she's
I
making
guess
money doing it.
That's like the other offensive
Look,
term,
honey,
I guess, for
you
women.
can you can stay home. You could be a trad wife.
Right, exactly.
You know?
She couldn't stay home that long, I don't think.
Yeah, no,
So-
she'd go nuts.
So, one of the things I was wondering about was, they
yeah.
added all these terms and stuff, but what did they take out? And so,
They took out any rational term they could, I'm sure.
I asked both Grok and Claude what words were taken out. They added all these words, what words were taken out.
Yeah.
And it was pretty vague. And actually, both gave me the same exact answer, which means that they probably read the same exact article
Yeah,
and
right.
just regurgitated it
Right.
back on the screen to me. So, I mean, this is verbatim what both of them said. Specifically, Merriam-Webster eliminated 2 entire sections from the 11th edition, sparse biographical entries on historical figures like Russian composer
Sure.
Nikolai Rimsky,
Oh,
Korsakov,
one of my favorite.
right? Or
I remember when he was
Location-
alive in 1907.
19, because he died in 1908. according
Yeah,
to this.
right. Yeah.
Location of places like Kalamazoo, Michigan, which we know where that is.
They took that out?
They took the location and they said that the rationale was that the users now turn to the internet for quick reference facts like that, freeing up space for more relevant linguistic content. And
That's
so,
interesting.
let's see. So, additionally, Merriam-Webster did eliminate some obscure and antiquated words, with N-wheel being one specific one. An N-wheel, which means to encircle. I have not used that term before, so it's probably pretty...
I use that like every other Thursday.
Yeah.
So
I have to wonder how old
Yeah.
is it? Is this from Victorian times, or is this Middle English? I'm curious to know.
is
how
that the
old it
times
is.
when we hit like our women over the head and drug them home from the cave?
That was like the pre-trad wife.
Yeah.
So,
By the way, I'm going to tell you, I really like your shirt today. I can tell
Thank
you're
you.
really thinking.
I'm thinking like
Yeah.
a computer here.
Woo!
I got my spinning wheel here.
Yeah,
going on,
yeah,
so.
right.
So I think that's all I've got. Appreciate
You know
everyone
what?
tuning in to us.
Yeah, I know, goofy show, but hey, hit us up with ideas, and we thought this was kind of funny, like and subscribe to us, and we'll try to come out with more silly content and up to date content, and hope you guys tune in every week. We're gonna try to release the show Thursdays or Fridays. Anything else you can think of, Chris?
No, just have a great day, people.
Yeah, thanks. We'll talk to you soon.